Today we have a special challenge with Smeargle in Pokémon Yellow. How did I get Smeargle in Pokémon Yellow? It's a Gen 2 Pokémon, that's what you're wondering. But Scott's Thought has provided us with a unique ROM in which, in this patch, Smeargle is ported back to Gen 1. And for Gen 1 purposes, here are the stats. We got 55 HP. We're gonna outspeed most of the early game with 75 speed, 35 defense, and at the very bottom we have 20 attack and 20 special. So we're not gonna hit that hard. But on the bright side, we have a high crit rate of 14%. By the way, the rules are in the description. You can pause the video and see the rules for yourselves. Now, on with the challenge! Smeargle can sketch any move in the game with its signature move, Sketch, as long as it was the last move that has been used by the opponent. Otherwise, it will fail. You know what's the best part about Sketch? It only has one try, and that's it. Then, you'll have to resort to struggle. You got nothing else. Like in the first rival battle in here, we can't really sketch anything from the Eevee because we're outspeeding the Eevee, so we're left with only struggle. And for this flavored challenge, I can only use 50 power base move and below that. And for status moves, I can only use early game moves, which means if one of the Pokemon can get it up until level 20, then I'll consider it as an early game move. That means the Pokemon like Butterfree can have access to all of the powders, so I can basically use and copy Poison Powder, Stun Spore, Sleep Powder, etc. I can only use, in total, 26 moves, and that includes Struggle, so Struggle is out of the question if we're gonna sketch a move. So let's eliminate Struggle. And we got Bug moves, and Bug moves are usually really bad. So let's eliminate these two. And we got Rep and the clones of Rep. Yeah, we're not gonna use these two because you're too broken. And you know it. And let's eliminate all of the bad moves. Yeah, Constrict and Barrage are going back to the dumpster. And Poison Sting as well. Basically, most of the moves that are available to us in the entirety of the challenge are signature moves, in which we're not gonna get because there are not that much trainers that we can copy or wild Pokemons that we can copy these specific moves from. So basically, after we're gonna climb this Brock wall, then we can have some access to great moves. Up until then, we're only left with Tuckle, Peck, Gust, Harden, Sand Attack, Growl, Tail Whip, and String Shot. I decided to go with the most strongest move that I could ever find, and it's a stab move, so we're gonna hit a bit harder than usual. I decided to go with Gust, but it would take a while to find a wild Pidgeotto in order to sketch this move because every other PG, and yeah, even the level 8 ones, we're outspeeding them, so yeah, sketch is not gonna work and we're gonna result into struggle so fast. It took a while to find a Pidgeotto. Finally, we found this Pidgeotto, and I need to hope it won't use Sand Attack because I don't want to sketch Sand Attack. And afterwards, after I found Gust, I decided to sketch Harden because Harden is gonna help us defensively and offensively when it comes to badge boost. After tons of training, because I knew that I'm gonna need some extra levels because normal types don't get a lot of fun with Brock, like at all. So, after doing some blackout training against Rival 21A and the junior trainer at Brock's gym, even though that was the plan, I actually won on my second try, so I got tons of spirit and a lot of hope that it's gonna work at level 13. Yeah, we're not hitting that hard at level 13, and we can't really outlast the Geodude's attacks, so we ended up even losing to the Geodude, so yeah, let's go back to the field. So, I'll see you in a bit. Right now we're at level 16, and we're gonna try again, and I'm hoping I won't need extra levels because, boy, look at the clock. So, let's hope that this time, at level 16, we're gonna get what we need. So I decided to set up completely against the Geodude. But the problem is, the damage is the same. We're losing it at about 2 hit points, maybe 4 at some times. Maybe setting up completely doesn't really work for now because the damage is basically the same. The Geodude basically is gonna attack if he's not gonna get a Gen 1 miss. Yeah, I get to the Onix eventually, but our luck is running out a bit by a bit. Because Onix is using the wrong move. Onix is using Bind. Yeah, and our HP is basically gone in a very slow and tedious way. So I had to reset. So, spoiler alert, I basically failed over and over again. Because I was trying new approaches to this battle, I decided to reduce Harden in order to try to find out when to set up, when is the right point to set up. And basically I was trying to reduce the amount of Hardens that I'm using for the Geodude because the Geodude is always gonna attack us no matter what. So it's better to finish it off as fast as possible. So I finally had some hope at my 6th try. After setting up 3 Hardens and getting luck with crits, I basically managed to get on green health to the Onix. And Onix has given us an opening with Screech, so I can use Harden in order to increase my defense again and try to tackle that one. And then Onix is finally using Bide, so basically I can stall it out with Harden and set up the rest of my Hardens. Basically he's trying to use Screech again afterwards. He's trying to use Tackle, and Tackle doesn't really do that all much. And I'm trying to hope again, and finally we can do some chip damage to the Onix, a bit by a bit. But then he's going for the Bind. Oh no, no, no. It went out so great. I don't want to finish that battle. So come on, let me attack. But then at the right moment, finally we get our opening. And basically, Onix is using the wrong move. And we can finally finish that thing off. Whew. And that's how we got by this brick wall. And we can finally reduce the amount of battles that we're gonna take because, boy, these grinds took a lot of time. So I've decided to reduce the amount of training that I'm gonna do up until Cerulean City. And yeah, I did battle some extra trainers in order to get Sketch as fast as possible, so I could sketch my next move. The plan is to use Sketch in order to sketch Confusion from the youngster at Route 25. Yeah, this random youngster has Slowpoke, and the only move that he can use is Confusion. So, you've guessed it, I'm going for Rival 2 this time. But, I know that Rival 2 is gonna be hard, so I've prepared in advance. I'm gonna use completely all of my money in order to blackout train as efficiently as possible. I'm ready to lose, and I'm gonna keep the XP. So, we're gonna have some efficient grinding, and we're not gonna lose money in the long run. And basically, even if I'm gonna buy some useless items, I'm gonna sell them later in order to not lose completely my money. So, let's see how we're gonna lose to Rival 2. He opens up with Spearow, and the plan is to use Harden in order to increase my defenses and to get some boost to my attack with the Badge Boost glitch. He didn't really like the plan all that much, so he decided to just reduce my attack with Growl. I guess I could work with that one, but I can't really knock the Spearow out that fast, which means the Sand Demon is gonna be very, very tricky. And my feeling was correct because we got Sand Attack in our faces, just as expected, a classic Rival 2 move. Yeah, I can't really see that much and we're starting to miss. But, thankfully enough, we get the Sand Demon out, but yeah, look at our HP. Rattata is gonna finish the job anyways, so one Hyper Fang for the team, and we're out. And spoiler alert, I got some bad RNG with Rival 2, but it doesn't really matter because the winning attempt is very close. I get the luck that I needed. Spearow is using Leer for a change, so he was increasing my attack anyways. And the Sand Demon can't really take that much. He's missing with Sand Attack. Ooh, that's great. Finally! I've been waiting for that one! And the Sand Demon can't really handle our attacks. And what about the Rattata and Eevee? Yeah, they can't really do anything to us. So, Rival 2 went in shambles. My plan is to go to the random youngster at Route 25 and then take Confusion. After getting confused by this random trainer for some odd reason, I decided to go with Harden then and waste my time. All is well and we finally get Confusion without taking a reset, which is pretty convenient. After saving Bill from his experimental phase, we finally get to face Misty, and I'm not really hopeful. My initial plan with Misty is to increase my attack and my defense with Harden and the badge boost. Problem is, Water Gun is a special move. Harden won't help us that much. And like you say in here, even if she's deciding to use Tackle for a few times, once she's using her stab move, things are getting really bad. We can finally join the Bad Special Club. On the next attempt, things aren't really better. I got back to the Stormy after setting up Harden's, even though once I'm watching this one, it's a complete waste of time. Harden doesn't really help us at all in this battle. And she tempts our hopes with X-Defend with one Harden, then she decides to go with Bubble Beam. So yeah, our health is decreasing really fast there. I decided to use that XP in order to increase my damage output because basically I've been leveling up because of that battle. So after blacking out and after having some bad luck in the next attempt afterwards, I finally got back to the Stormy. And this time, we got lucky. And we're attacking with Gust and we got a crit. Oh yeah! Then, she's using, X-Defend. Yeah, that's what I like to see. And I'm getting another crit. Finally, she's using another Harden. We need only one crit and we're out. Out of here! Finally, we got our second badge. We can finally continue our journey and get to the SSN. At the SSN, I fought the Gentleman Candy, and I decided to go straight to Rival 3 because I do really want to stick with minimum battles as much as possible. So, Rival 3 is basically easy because you can get Body Slam or some other move that you can use, and his team is really underleveled at that point in the solo run. In the case of Ryuchi, I'm hoping that we're gonna get a second try victory or something. Okay, let's ruin Rival 3's day. Spearow is up first, and Spearow decides to decrease our attack, but we're using Harden in order to increase our attack. And Spearow is deciding to use Growl again and decide to reduce our attack, but it doesn't matter because I'm basically using Harden for the sake of boosting my physical defense. In order to ruin the rival's damage output, Spearow decides to be all spontaneous and give us another extra badge boost. Thanks for the badge boost, but you're out, buddy. Rattata, what about Rattata? Wow, he's using Hyper Fang. That will do a lot of damage. Not today. You're out too. Up next is the Sand Demon, and the Sand Demon decided to be decent once in a while, and decides to mend its ways and to not use sand. Great job. Eevee is the last one. Eevee decides to take some advices from the Sand Demon and decides to ruin our accuracy. But it doesn't really matter, because we're getting our hits a little by little, and Confusion hits like a charm. We got our first try victory! Yay! I'm pretty hopeful for Surge because Surge can be very random at times. Can use a lot of bad moves. I'm really hoping that he's gonna use, you know, the physical moves in order for me to actually play around that. So, let's see how that one goes. Surge is outspeeding us by 3 points, which is pretty critical, because Raichu can hit hard, fast, and he can always use Thunderbolt, and Thunderbolt will probably gonna knock us out even from full health. But we got Mega Punch from Raichu. It's doing some decent damage, and I thought about using Harden. I wasn't really paying attention to my HP. I just thought for a moment that I have an infinite HP. So I was trying to decrease the amount of setup that I'm using. And the next attempt as well. And at least the next attempt's reset was pretty fast. I can give Surge that. The third try, we got a crit with Confusion. That's something, but no Confusion. And he's using Thunderbolt and knock us out pretty fast. That was nice. After getting consecutively 5 resets against Surge, I knew that that was a sign. I couldn't really beat Surge at that point. I need a better move to sketch. And I have one in mind. Once I'm gonna go to Rock Tunnel, there is a hiker there that you usually don't fight in minimum battles runs, or in solo runs in general. He has a Machop and a Juice. That Machop has Karate Chop. In Gen 1, Karate Chop is a normal type move, and it's a 50 base power move, and a high crit move. So Karate Chop is gonna crit every single time. And to add to that, you got the stab bonus, and we get some nice damage output for the mid-game. Plan is that Karate Chop is gonna stay, I think, as part of our final movesets. I got into classic Wrapping Glass shenanigans. Well, basically, her Oddish is using Stun Spore. It cuts your speed in half. But then at the time you're finishing with the Oddish, then comes Bellsprout, and Bellsprout is trying to set up growth. And there is a weird interaction in Gen 1, because why not? Gen 1 is gonna do Gen 1, and basically our speed is decreased into 3 points. Then it wraps you to death, basically. So it's a slow and painful death, but okay, it's just some bad luck. And afterwards, I got poisoned, and her plan didn't really work, and we finally got by her. Then, afterwards, I got into the Rock Tunnel, finally got to that certain hiker with Karate Chop. Even the true Elite Four member, the self-destructing hiker, couldn't really win against us. That was a fun one because I've been using Harden so much, and I've been waiting for the Judus to explode, and basically that cool hiker did it at the second turn. Wow, that was really nice. Really like that one. And Groveler couldn't really do that much damage to us, and he was trying to use Rock Throw, and rock moves in Gen 1 are pretty horrible, and with horrible accuracy too. Basically in one of my test runs, I've been using that move because it's a 50 power base move, and boy, that was really bad. So I'm glad that I'm not doing this time. And yeah, Graveler is out too. So basically I got to the big city, to Celadon City, and then went to do some errands. Because I haven't won against Surge, I can't really take the Squirrel at Vermilion City, so I decided to pick up the Eevee and evolve it into Vaporeon, and I've named this one Surf. Yeah, I know my nicknames are original, but usually I'm using it for like a note to self that I'm using that specific Pokemon for this specific HM, so yeah. It's really funny to read the text box. And then afterwards, I decided to sell some items, get some repels, get some Great Balls because I don't really have my bird Pokemon yet. I decided to buy Freshwater, a Pokédoll. Then I took Fly, caught myself a Fearow in which I've named Bird. And the most annoying part, by not doing Surge immediately, is that you can't really use Fly, you need to walk all the way there. On the bright side, I could finally open the road to Saffron City and go back to Vermilion City via Saffron City. After 20 minutes of real time, I'm finally back for vengeance. This time, we're outspeeding the Raichu. I decided to go with Harden, just in case that he will use Mega Kick. And right now he's using Mega Punch, which is okay, I could work with that one. And then we're trying to use Karate Chop, and we got a crit. Yeah, we're doing some decent damage with that one. But then, Raichu decides to go with Mega Kick, and guess what? He got a crit, and we're done. So, okay, let's try again, it's just some bad luck. Well, this time I was going with a different approach. Offense is the best defense. So I was just hoping that Surge is gonna cooperate and just give me the badge. Well, he went with Thunderbolt. I thought that I'm gonna get some extra reset, but then Surge decided to be all Surge and decided to go with X-Speed. So we finally got some decent crits. Finally, we got the 3rd badge. Wow. Okay, so let's check out the splits for this one. Well, the early game was pretty hellish. Brock was pretty tough. Misty wasn't really easy either. And Surge, yeah, I wasn't expecting that one. Was pretty difficult as well. But the difficulty is going to increase right now. And 50 base power moves are outclassed by that time. We took some extra battles, 63 in total, and most of it, 50 to be exact, were for Brock only. And I think they were gonna need some extra battles for the mid-game, because the mid-game is gonna be pretty brutal. Starting with Erika, and Erika is using special moves, and she has powders, so she can status us. And then we have Koga, and Koga is pretty tough in yellow, and we got Rival 5. I decided to go with Pokémon Tower. After battling some rockets at the rocket hideout, I went to fight Rival 4 at Pokémon Tower. Let's see how that one goes. Up first is Firo, and I'm trying to use Harden for some odd reason. So, Firo is going with Fury Attack, and basically gets a nice Fury Attack with 5 times, but that's some pathetic damage, buddy. And I'm going with Harden again, maybe to taunt him, but hey, that works. I decided to go with Karate Chop. Problem is, Firo is using Mirror Move. Firo is part normal type, so he's getting some stab bonus from doing this. And, you know, Firo is pretty fast, so he can crit us. So basically, we're critting one another. Problem is, then I'm left with only 1 HP after that Firo. Sentru is gonna kill us for sure. So, let's have a quick reset and try again. This time I went with the same approach. I've been using Harden, but this time I was lucky because Firo is giving us some free badge boosts. Well, thanks for that, Firo. And I'm going with the safe strats. I'm using Gust, because then he can't really crit us that often. So, yeah, Firo is out. Finally, and we're on green health. Up next is the Sand Demon. Spoiler alert, the Sand Demon, the Magnemite, and the Vulpix couldn't scratch us because we got some awesome crits there. So, these were one-shots. And the last one in the bunch is the Eevee. Eevee was trying to be all trolly, hey, but it doesn't really work for him. Finally, Rival 4 is easy as pie, as it should have been. Afterwards, I've saved Mr. Fuji, and I could do a quick detour at Fuchsia City, or try to challenge Erika. Well, I could try and train at the gym. Problem is, I've been repped to death, twice, by random trainers. Well, that's a warning sign, because that means that if I'm struggling against random trainers at her gym, I will have a hard time with her too. All we need to do is to try and see how that one goes, like we usually do. Tangela is up first. I'm using Karate Chop, and this time with no setups. It's better late than never, but hey, I finally realized that one. Tangela is using Bind, and it feels like it's lasts forever. This reset was pretty slow. Barely got by the Tangela, and usually I can't really get to the Whipping Bell. And if I do, it's not with a great amount of health left. So I thought about trying to sketch one of Tangela's moves. I can only sketch Vine Whip or Mega Drain. I decided on Mega Drain because Mega Drain can heal me a bit by a bit. I won't use it for Erika per se, but I'll probably use it for the League. And finally, after realizing that I'll probably need the XP, I decided to blackout and try to save Mega Drain on my movesets. And then try again. Problem is, Tangela is so bulky. Once she's using Vine Whip, which is doing some incredible damage, more than Mega Drain, even though it's only 45 base power, Ryuchi can't really handle that one all that well. And to add to that, you got Bind, and it can trap you in Bind forever, basically. So even if I got by the Tangela, Whipping Bell is usually statusing me and finishes me off with Acid. At some point, with a bit amount of luck with crits, Tangela wasn't using Bind all that much, finally got to the Gloom. Problem is that I was statused, and Gloom is finishing me off with any move that it can use, as long as it won't try to status us again. I was trying again because I thought that it was a bad luck, but after 5 times consecutively that I was trying to attempt Erica, and I couldn't even get by at some point by the Tangela itself, I decided on extra training. So, right now, because we have the Pokeflute, I can do a quick detour at Fuchsia City and go to the Cycling Road. There are some good trainers with good XP yields, so we can use them in order to gain some levels in a more efficient way. I got some 2 random resets there, but hey, nothing to brag about. Then I went to fight the Bird Keepers nearby Fuchsia City, because there are good trainers too when it comes to XP yields. Then I went to the Safari Zone. I called myself a Nidoran male by mistake. The most coolest thing ever, I got a Scyther. Yeah, that was nice. I really love Scyther, and the sprite in Pokemon Yellow is really cool. So I'm keeping that one on my team, just for fun. And then after picking up some items, I've digged out of there, and then I went to challenge Erica all over again, now with my newly increased levels. Tangela is opening up with Mega Drain, which is not that great. But I have Karate Chop. If we're gonna pray for high roll crits, everything should be just fine. Problem is that our special is not that great, and she's using Mega Drain, so she's healing up, and we're not doing that much damage. But RNG has been lucky for us, and we're finally got by the Tangela with half health remaining. Well, Whipping Bell is up next. Whipping Bell can be very scary because it can status us at every given moment, like it did right now. With Stun Spore, Paralysis can make us lose a turn, and that could be very critical. He's using Acid, all is well, and we got some high roll crits in here too. We got to the Gloom. Gloom decided not to status us, and decided to attack. And guess what? It's a special move. Yeah, I knew it won't work. So, yeah. Let's try again, it's just a string of bad luck. Basically, Tangela decided not to use special moves, and we got Bind. Well, the difference is that Bind can be annoying, but our defenses are really good, and we can still be on green health. Well, we can still crit. Tangela can't really do anything to us all that much, and we finally got to the Whipping Bell with green health. This time, Whipping Bell decided to go with offense only, and we're not status, and because of our speed, that is now not cut in half, we finally can crit that thing, and finally get to the Gloom on green health. And now, because I'm not paralyzed, I can finally crit the Gloom for half. Gloom is finally trying to status us, and he succeeds. And this time, he's outspeeding us with Petal Dance. We finally survived the hit from green health. Paralysis doesn't get in our way, and congratulations, we got our 4th badge. Wow. That was a grind. And I'm not even sure that Koga is gonna be any better, because Koga is way worse. There is big gaps in levels. Psychic is way better than Mega Drain. So if we're struggling with Mega Drain, Koga could be an issue. So if we're gonna need extra level for Erica, probably we're gonna need to grind too for Koga as well. That's why I've decided to go straight to Sylph and try to do all the mandatory trainers there, alongside the dojo. My initial thought was, I'm having confusion. Fighting types in Gen 1 are having low special, usually. So nothing should go wrong, right? Right? Yeah, I've lost to the Karate King without saving in between. So I had to do everything all over again. And because I was so scared that I'm gonna lose again, I was saving between each and every trainer. The fighting dojo gave me a lot of experience. Smeargle, because it's in the fast level up group, I won't need that much grinding, or so I thought. And right now, after training at Koga's gym with the mandatory trainers, I'm right now at level 49. And I hope that that would be enough. Koga can be very difficult because all of his Vanadats can status you, or they can hit really hard with Psychic. And for us, it's pretty critical because we can't really tank a hit. And one after the other is using Psychic up until the final Vanadat, which doesn't need to do that much to finish us off. And crits weren't by our side this time. So that one is a reset. But I don't worry because I'm not going for first try victories anyway. Let's try it again. I've managed to get back to the Venomoth, but it was a huge price to pay. I'm badly poisoned because of one of the Venonat earlier. Venomoth was using its best move, and I'm done with Toxic. Then I realize, at that point, once I'm getting Toxic from one of the Venonats, then it's an instant reset. And this way, I got 3 resets consecutively, and that was awful. I've realized that level 49 and even getting to level 50 for better damage ranges didn't do all that much. The only solution that I see in here is to grind. I've managed to beat up every single trainer that Koga had in his gym. Then I flew back to Sylph and fought some trainers. And I've managed to get to level 51. I got Sketch. I decided to get rid of Harden because setting up with an auto crit move doesn't really synergize us all that well. So I decided to go and fight Rival 5. I got nothing to lose. Let's see how that one goes. Up first is the Sand Demon. The Sand Demon is not really particularly known for its great special. That's why I've decided to use the super effective move of Mega Drain. We knock out half of his health, and he decides to go with, you guessed it, Sand Attack. Great. He has another trick up his sleeves, and that is Poison Sting. Ooh, that's some awesome damage you got there, Rival 5. Okay, at least he got us poisoned. That's something. The Magneton, which is up next, can't really status us, and I prefer Poison, because with Poison, I can still outspeed the opponents, even though it's in the cost of my health. Magneton decides to go with Thundershock for a change. I decided to just fight the poison and bite the bullet. Karate Chop all the way. Up next is Ninetales, and Ninetales is getting a crit with Quake Attack. Okay, we're not left behind because we're critting as well, but we're getting some big damage with Karate Chop. And now we're outspinning the Ninetales because probably we're speed tied. But not for long because Ninetales decides to give us a badge boost with Tail Whip. Ah, nice one, Rebel 5. Thanks for the badge boost. You'll be forever remembered. Up next is Kadabra. We're on 69 HP, which is really nice. And Kadabra, as you probably know, has some terrible defenses out of any Pokemon in the party that the rival has right now. So one Karate Chop for the win, and Kadabra is out too. The rival is only left with Vaporeon. And guess what? Karate Chop is getting a Gen 1 miss. Vaporeon is deciding to use a special move. Oh, we got into red. And another Aurora Beam, and it's done. So, let's try again. On our second try, the Sand Demon is deciding to use all of his dirty tricks again. But he's getting a miss. Serves you right. Then we get a free turn to just attack, but he's on red health, and he decides to use his dirty trick again, in hopes that I'll be poisoned. But not this time, Rebel 5. You had your luck. Up next is Magneton, and I'm getting a great feeling about that one. Magneton can still yet status us, but if we're gonna be a bit luckier, maybe Magneton is not gonna use a special move at all. He's just using Tuggle for no good reason. After 2 crits with Karate Chop, Magneton is out, and we're still on green health. Ninetales is up next. Maybe he's gonna use Amber, maybe he can use Roar and just forget how to attack for most of the battle, which is fine too. Kadabra, yeah, nothing changed there. The defenses are still pretty terrible, so 1 crit is all that is left, and we're back at the Vaporeon. Vaporeon is using Aurora Beam. Oh no, maybe he can drop our attack? And we're on the clear. That's great. I decided to go with Mega Drain to see if I could heal just by a bit. And it doesn't really work all that well because the Vaporeon is pretty bulky. Our health is going down a bit by a bit once he's using Water Gun, and we definitely found ourselves in some tough spot in here. We can sustain some of the damage in hopes that maybe we can survive. And we survive on 5 HP. Wow! That was close. A second try victory at level 5? I wasn't really expecting that one. Afterwards, we're just finishing Team Rocket and the plot stuff, and we're blasting off to Sabrina's gym. Well, Sabrina can be tricky, but she's very random at Pokemon Yellow. And I'm counting on that one because after all, I'm using physical moves. And the Abra line has some terrible defenses. We're outspinning the Abra, so we can't really use Flash on us. And one crit is enough to get Abra out of the way. And with Kadabra, it's a different story, because Kadabra can actually attack us. If he's gonna use the right move, let's say Psychic, for example, and he's getting the special drop, yeah, basically we're on red health. And even if we're gonna crit and knock the Kadabra out, I'm hoping that I'm gonna get some luck with the Alakazam, because one Psychic and even a Psybeam can ruin everything for now. She's using X-Defend? Are you sure about that one? Okay, let's attack for free. I'm taking this chance. She's using Psywave? Are you sure about that one? You could have just used any other move. I still survived. Then she's using Recover and tried to stall out. I was tempted to sketch Recover, but then I just realized it's just too broken and it's not an early game move. So I've decided to just attack. And she's using Reflect! Yay! It's a first try victory from Sabrina. Wow, I wasn't really expecting that one. I think that I'm ready for Koga. I went back to Koga, and now I'm at level 54. Basically, without causing status to the Vanonets, in particular, sleep. I can't really do that much, even with my increased levels. After a few times, I've decided on sketching Sleep Powder. Things are suddenly so easy. Well, the plan goes like this. I'm sketching Sleep Powder from the first Vanonet, putting it to sleep, and then using Karate Chop, in which is always gonna crit, and then rinse and repeat for the second Vanonet, for the third one, and even the Venomoth couldn't stand a chance. So we're outspeeding, and basically we're broken as hell, because we're gonna outspeed most of the Pokemons in the entire game. And once we have in a sleep move, basically Gen 1 sleep mechanics is super duper broken. The opponent can't really attack us that much once it wakes up. Basically, with the power of crits and broken sleep mechanics, even Koga didn't stand a chance. And that's how we're finishing the mid-game. Well, if I knew that one earlier, I would probably won't do that much additional battles. Well, now looking at the data, it's not that bad. We didn't take that much additional battles. The mid-game was kind of a struggle because basically we're using early game moves, which are outclassed by now, so yeah, that explains everything. But we're on a decent level, and we're 1 second away from getting another damage rounding threshold. Next in line, we have Blaine and Giovanni. We're using physical moves, and we're having Mega Drain for Giovanni, and a sleeping move. So, I think that we're gonna stick with minimum battles for the sake of change. So, let's jump into Blaine and see how that one goes. Blaine is opening up with Ninetales, and he decides to go with Quick Attack to give up his first turn to us. Now, I can finally put it to sleep. If only Sleep Powder could have worked 100% out of the time. But hey, 75 accuracy is fair enough for a mechanic like Sleep in Gen 1. So now that Ninetales is not asleep, he can use Flamethrower. Ooh, I didn't really thought that HP could go down so fast. Now I only have 9 hit points. It doesn't really matter if we're gonna put it to sleep right now, because sooner or later I'm just delaying the inevitable. Rapidash is gonna finish us off, so I might as well reset and try out again. The silver lining is that RNG can turn out to be very good for us, and very bad for us. So let's see how that one goes. On my second try, the sleep mechanics has finally came in handy, and we got the sleep on the first turn. So, Ninetales is being very sleepy. Well, it takes me 4 hits, which crits, with Karate Chop, to get it all done. Man, I'm starting to feel the burden of using only early game moves. I wonder how it would work out in the league. Well, I don't need to think about it because right now Rapidash is asleep too. We're slowly but surely whittling it down, and it woken up just to find out that it's gonna be dead afterwards. Arcanine is up next, and Arcanine can be very tricky. It can use Reflect and reduce our damage, it can use Fire Blast and ruin our day forever, it can burn us with Fire Blast. But none of the above actually happened because he's asleep, like a good boy. And then, we're critting with some hits with Karate Chop, and then it wakes up to realize that it's on red, and we already got the badge. Nice playing there, Blaine. I'm really liking my odds right now. I might as well run to challenge Giovanni. Sausage Fest is up first. We're putting it to sleep because we're outspeeding. I decided to use Mega Drain just for the sake of variety, because after all, Giovanni's Pokemon are not particularly known for their special defenses. But actually, I didn't really one-shot it. I'm kinda surprised. I thought that if I'm not gonna one-shot it, I'll be very close to. I guess that it's gonna be a 3-hit KO, but as long as it's asleep, nothing is gonna come in our way. Up next, Persian. Well, I decided to put the Persian to sleep in order to avoid any kind of chance that it would crit us, or use double team. And I decided to go with Karate Chop, and Karate Chop is the only thing that that cat has ever saw. Up next is Nidoqueen, and Nidoqueen is weak to Confusion and to Mega Drain. And Nidoqueen is pretty bulky when it comes to physical defense, so I decided to go with Confusion for a change, and see what is my damage ranges on here after, of course, it's being asleep. It seems like a 7-hit KO or something, without crits. And I can't really bank on crits. Yeah, I'm getting back to Karate Chop for sure. And we finally got to the Nidoking. We put the Nidoking to sleep because we don't want to see double kick. Giovanni, after all, is having good AI. That means it will always prioritize moves that are gonna do super effective damage. And in our case, double kick can be very critical. But after all, it doesn't get a stab bonus. Maybe it's not that bad? I decided to go with Confusion because after all, Nidoking is less bulky than Nidoqueen, so Confusion should do some big damage. After a while, Nidoking decides to wake me up from my daydream, and for some odd reason I decided to play risky and to go for the Confusion because I thought that it's gonna be enough, and he decides to use double kick. It's not like I didn't really knew that it's gonna happen, but yeah, it's a reset. Yeah, we're gonna put it to sleep. For sure. And well, in this try, I didn't really got the luck that I needed because after all, Sleep Powder is only 75% accurate, but with the Sausage Fest, everything is okay. With the Persian, yeah, I couldn't really get it to sleep on the first turn, so it hits me with a massive slash. Wow, that was a lot of damage. But luckily, the next turn, I can put it to sleep. He even used a guard spec, so even if it's gonna wake up, it doesn't really matter. He's out. Nidoqueen is up next. She's using double kick because we couldn't get her to sleep, and we're only left with 1 HP. I thought that I'm gonna reset there. Sleep Powder came in handy, and we finally put her to sleep, and the Nidoking to sleep. And we healed with Mega Drain, but it doesn't really help us all that much. But I decided to finish it off with Confusion. And the Nidoking, after putting it to sleep, yeah, Karate Chop could do the best damage, and with Rhydon, once he's asleep, 4 times weakness to grass is doing some pretty good damage. And we can heal ourselves. That's what I really like about Mega Drain. The power is meh, but at least we can heal ourselves and attack, which is pretty nice. With that, we got the final badge. Our next stop before the league is level 6. The Sand Demon doesn't throw sand anymore, and doesn't live up to his name. And while it's asleep and having some bad special, Mega Drain is actually the key to win. Nah, it didn't really work. I just went with Karate Chop because, let's sum it up, 20 base special, yeah. We got the bunch of eggs, seeds, coconuts, Yeah, it doesn't really matter because it's asleep the whole way. Well, almost. It decides to wake up on red to find out that it is already dead. Now, Magneton is a different story, because Magneton don't like to snooze, and it can status us with Thunder Shock. We're gonna lose the speed advantage that we already have naturally. But we're not status. Well, I cross my fingers, so this time it has to work. And yay, this time it's asleep. I hope throughout the whole time back then that it won't wake up. And thankfully, I'm really lucky, and Magneton decides to sleep. Well, up next is Ninetales. Yeah, what that thing can do to me. Yeah, quick attack? Oh, it crit. Well, we can put it to sleep. That would work. No, it's just awakened again. But thankfully, it's using Roar. Yeah, good luck with that one, buddy. We decided to put it to sleep again, and then it decides to just wake up immediately. Basically, Ninetales decides to be annoying, but it doesn't really do all that much. So, we're on the clear. Up next is Kadabra. And boy, we've missed the sleep on Kadabra. And the rival uses Psychic. And it gets a crit. But don't worry, it doesn't take me too long to get to the Vaporeon. Because all we need to do is to fish for some good luck and good RNG. With our ranges, and with sleep. I got back to the Kadabra without any status. And that took a while because I got status by the Magneton, by the Execute, and even by the Sandslash because of Poison Sting. But this time, Kadabra is asleep, and we actually managed to take it out with 2 crits from Karate Chop. That's how bad Kadabra's defense is. And now, we're ready to face the Vaporeon. Well, with the Vaporeon, it's pretty tricky. We can't really put it to sleep all that much. He probably forgot how to fight because he's using Mist. So I took that chance, and we finally put it to sleep. This time, we're using Mega Drain because it's super effective, even though once I'm seeing it on post, yeah, Karate Chop would have done way more damage with the stab bonus. But let's give Past Me the benefit of the doubt. So, after 5 hits of Mega Drain, I finally get it to half. I think that I'm gonna use every single PP for that Mega Drain if I would have just proceeded with that. But it's just so silly. The super effective move is doing so little damage. But hey, that's thanks to our 20 special. But it's better late than never, and I finally changed to Karate Chop. The damage is so much better. And Vaporeon is out. We're all left with 5 trainers to end this challenge. Let's take a quick glance at our metrics. I'm pretty hopeful that we're gonna get a sub 3 hours, real time, and we got 53 resets. And our level is not that high. Didn't really expect it to be that low, but I guess the Smeargle is a late bloomer. In this section of the game, we finally managed to stay on minimum battles. So, it's time to go and face the 5 less trainers. But before that, I need to bump into a random trainer, get a reset, get the revenge on the wrong trainer, and then challenge Lorelei. We're faster than the Dugong is, and with the right amount of luck in RNG, we can finally put it to sleep on the first turn. For some odd reason, I guess that I didn't really learn the lesson, and I'm using Mega Drain again. Yeah, the super effective bias doesn't really work here. He wakes up, and yeah, that wasn't really part of the plan, was it? But we still have plenty of sleep powders. We can still put it to sleep. She's using his super potion, and it doesn't really work for her, and he's finally out. Cloyster is up next, and Cloyster has some bad special. Maybe Mega Drain could work here? No. Even with this Pokemon, yeah, Karate Chop is way better. In case it's trying to attack us, we can always put it to sleep. But we're pretty lucky, and it snoozes too. Slowbro is up next, and Slowbro is very tricky. It has Amnesia, it has a stab move, and Psychic. If we're not gonna put it to sleep, things are gonna get very bad. On the first turn, we couldn't put it to sleep, but thankfully he's using Amnesia, and if we're gonna put it to sleep in this turn, things are gonna be just fine. I'm going for Karate Chop because it's gonna give us a better damage output. Slowbro is tanking my hits like a champ, wow. I knew that Slowbro was defensive, but not like this. But he wakes up. I'm very lucky with sleep. And the final hit, for good measure, is Mega Drain. Jinx is up next, and Jinx doesn't like to sleep. But I'm very lucky because Lorelei decides to go with Double Slap. Wow, nice one, Lorelei. It barely does some damage because our defense is pretty massive. Even though Double Slap crits, but our crit is way better. After putting that thing to sleep, it's no match for us. So, we finally managed to get to the Leprous. I'm very excited. Maybe we can have some first try victory. So, it's time to sleep. I said sleep. No, you need to sleep, not to wake up immediately, just sleep. And finally, after a couple of times, Leprous is finally asleep. So, I'm attacking it with Mega Drain to restore some of my health, in case that Leprous is gonna wake up and then do some massive damage with Blizzard. It was the last Mega Drain that I had, and I didn't really have that much PP because I was wasting it on Dugong and on Cloyster. So I guess that I'll need to bank all the way with Karate Chop. Come on, crits! Don't fail me! We finally managed to get it to half, but he wakes up again. For one turn, we can put it to sleep, but it doesn't really matter because Karate Chop is all that we need. I'm at level 61, and you know what that means. I can finally get rid of Mega Drain because it's no longer useful, and I can have Sketch. I'll have the chance to sketch another move from the remaining Elite Four members. In the next room, we have a random hiker which is lost in here. You know, you shouldn't be here. It's an Elite Four room. You can't really go in there and just be there. You're not that great, and I have confusion, so I've warned you. Yeah, I've lost to that hiker. Okay, I'll stop calling you a hiker. Oh, okay. On the next attempt, I forgot to heal, and I decided to go with confusion and see if it's just only bad luck. You know, hikers can get some good lucks too. But basically, after disposing of the Onyx, the Hitmonchan is using Double Team with Mist with our sleep, and with confusion, instead of us, yeah, in particular Burn, he's using his special move. Yeah, I'll stop calling you a hiker. I'll give you an intro. That could make you happy. Okay, I'll change the music. I'll even call you by your name. So, let's proceed after the intro. Well, and this time, I've healed, and I came prepared, and I'm seriously fighting the Elite Four Bruno. There, you're happy? I've decided not to put to sleep the Onyx. Its attacking stat is 45. Yeah, a Pidgey can attack harder than an Onyx. This time, Hitmonchan decides not to be tricky. He decides to go to sleep because attacking with only elemental punches can take a lot of strength and effort from a Hitmonchan. It dies really fast because 35 base special is just horrible, and confusion does the job. This time, we're facing the Hitmonlee. I missed with sleep, and Hitmonlee is using double kick, and it knocks us out. But don't worry, in the next attempt, I got back to the Hitmonlee, and this time, these are some classic Bruno moves. An X-Defend. Then I could put it to sleep with the X-Defend, but I'm very statused. The Hitmonchan before was paralyzing me with Thunder Punch, and it's getting very annoying because I'm starting to miss my attacks. But don't worry, the Hitmonlee is asleep. The other Onyx is really bad. And we got finally to the Machamp, and he's gonna attack us first. And guess what? He's using Karate Chop. It's very funny, you know. Haha, I gave you everything, now give me the win. And the next attempt, I got back to the Machamp, and this time, he's using Leer, I missed with sleep, and he's using an X-Defend, then he's finally asleep, and then he dies. Was that so hard, Bruno, to give me the win? Now, up next is Agatha. It's Gengar time. Okay, let's test some ranges with confusion. Not that bad, but he's going for the substitute. And I thought for some odd reason to use Sleep Powder, even though it won't work, but I thought because of Gen 1 oversights that it would actually work. And then Agatha decides to swap out to Golbat. It doesn't really stand a chance against us. Agatha decides to save her Golbat and swap to Gengar again. It's trying to attack us. Yeah, that won't work. And then we have Golbat again. Well, Golbat can't really do anything once it's on red. Then we have Haunter. Well, Haunter, once it's asleep, she does that again and she swaps out Haunter in order to protect the Haunter and get the Arbok out. Just to put it to sleep too. Yeah, I didn't really get this strategy actually, but fine, cool by me. For Arbok, we're gonna use Karate Chop because we can. And we need to preserve our PP as much as possible because the final Gengar, we can only attack it with Confusion. So, with Arbok out of the way, well, Haunter is now back. And once it's asleep, yeah, can't really do that much to us. We attack it with Confusion twice, then we get the Confusion. She decides to swap out again to her ace. We finally got to the Gengar. Problem is, we don't have Confusion. Yeah, I'm looking at that number. I thought it was gonna work somehow if I'm gonna be lucky and if we're gonna get some crits on the other Pokemons, but this won't work. Why? Well, because of the challenge. If you're gonna look at the final Gengar's moves, we cannot sketch a thing out of it. It has Psychic, it has Nightshade, it has Toxic, and Hypnosis. None of these are early game moves. Basically, our only choices are sketching Wing Attack from Golbat, which is terrible in Gen 1. Yeah, it's a 35 base power move, no additional effects. Yeah, we're not doing this. I prefer the other option, which is Lick from the first Gengar or from the Haunter. While Lick has an additional effect, which is Paralysis. And that could definitely help us out, and it's a physical move. Oh, hey there, past me. There are 3 options. One of them is not viable. Yeah, the Golbat has technically a move that we can steal, but it's Leech Life. It doesn't have the sufficient amount of power points, it only has 15, and it's a weak move, so we're gonna need a lot of PPs in order to attack and go through all of her team. So, it's not that viable. As you could probably see in here, well, the footage is rolling right now. So, thought I'm gonna mention that one. Anyways, back to the real thing. This time I'm going for safe threats, and sleep tactics are the best for that one. And this time, Gengar decides to cooperate. All I have to do right now is pick Confusion and mash the A button, and hope that maybe it will wake up so I could take Click. But I've mashed the A button so hard that I haven't realized that she swapped out to Golbat. But what Golbat could do to me? Crit with Wing Attack? Yeah, that doesn't really help you that much, buddy. Agatha realized that too, so she decided to swap out again to Gengar so it would die easily. Golbat decides to die as well after his friend. Well, here comes our chance to take Click, and it's the last chance right now. Come on! Choose that move. We got Lick. Now let's take this one, and hopefully we could put it to sleep. But hey! He's using Dream Eater! Now, we can put it to sleep, and all we have to do is just use 5 licks, and it's out. Now, we got Arbok. Well, with Arbok it's a different story, because it doesn't really like to sleep. It decides to be annoying with Rap. But hey, we put it to sleep afterwards, and attack it with Confusion. Agatha decides to swap out again with Gengar. Gengar didn't realize that Dream Eater doesn't really work on an awake Pokemon, and he decides to use it again. But hey, let's give him a taste of his own medicine. You go to sleep right now. We can attack it with Confusion. All the way. Ooh, we even got the Confusion. Oh, that's great. And he decides to wake up, close to the end. He's on low orange though. Yeah, Confusion does the job. It just hits himself. What a great way to end this battle. I forgot. We got Arbok. Yeah, what that thing can do, I hope that it will wake up and do some crits with Rap or something like that. But that doesn't really happen. And Agatha is out, finally. I'm not sure that Lick will help us all that much with Lance, but let's go and fight Lance. Well, note to self. Sleep Powder can miss sometimes. Confusion is not reliable. Crits cannot be trusted. And Hyper Beam is the most deadliest beam. Okay, let's move on and try for real this time. He opens up with Gyarados, but we're outspeeding him and we're gonna put it to sleep because we can. And we're fishing for some great crits. That's the plan. We're doing some chip damage, slowly but surely, and the Gyarados is down. We're on full health for the first Dragonair. Well, we put it to sleep, but it decides to wake up, ruin our plans, go for the paralysis, and now we're not outspeeding. We finally put it to sleep. Paralysis didn't get in our way yet. Now, the second Dragonair comes, and it decides to go with Ice Beam. Ouch! That's some pretty good damage, but we need to play safe. We're trying to knock it out, and we don't really miss our attacks. But Lance decides to cheat because he doesn't really like to lose and decides to go with full restore. We put it to sleep for the second time. Problem is that once I'm trying to attack, it decides to wake up from its slumber. And we're getting a Gen 1 miss. Wow, I really like the timing of that one. And he decides to go with Hyper Beam. Yeah, I knew that at the charging turn, that with this amount of HP, even if I'm gonna be very lucky, the Aerodactyl is gonna finish that battle sooner or later. Well, it's candy time. To be exact, I have 7 in total, but we're not gonna use all of them. Maybe we can pull it off at level 68. So, let's try it out. Problems in Paradise. I haven't realized back in the day that we can't really outspeed the Aerodactyl by 2 points to be exact. And that could be a problem, so keep that in mind. Well, we have one barrier, which is the Gyarados. The Gyarados can be generous and give us the badge boost if we need to outspeed the Aerodactyl, or it can attack us. And that's not really great. The worst case scenario is gonna crit, and we die. Basically, if we can sustain one hit, we're gonna get some great sleep luck, and we're gonna get Leer. That doesn't really guarantee that Lance is not gonna cheat, because he doesn't like to lose. So he's gonna use Hyper Potions, get us all the way back to square one, and then the chances are increasing for us to get a hit. And let me tell you, we can sustain only one hit if it's not gonna crit. If we're gonna bypass this problem, we got the Dragonairs. Well, the Dragonairs can be very finicky, especially in my tries because I didn't really get the best sleep luck. They took so many times to be put to sleep, like so many times in so many different attempts, that it feels like ironically funny. So after I'm wasting most of my PP, I realize that once I'm getting to the Aerodactyl, I'm only left with 1. So even if I'm gonna be lucky and put that thing to sleep and it's gonna sleep the whole way, the Dragonite could probably finish it off. What about double badge boosts from Leer? Well, let's say that the Gyarados is not a problem, and the Dragonairs are asleep the whole way. Then we have the Aerodactyl. If it's gonna attack us, most of the time it's gonna crit. But if we're gonna be lucky with the Aerodactyl, that doesn't really guarantee we're gonna be lucky with the Dragonite. The Dragonite can put all of our dreams into perspective. Well, what about no badge boost? Remember the issue earlier? Yeah, we can't really escape the Aerodactyl, can we? So, level 68 doesn't really cut the deal for us. So let's try level 70 and use all the rare candies that we got. Let's see if that can make the change. We're on reset 69, so let the power of 69 guide us. Well, in level 70, we're finally outspeeding the Aerodactyl naturally, so we can finally put it to sleep, and we managed to get Lance to use all of his Hyper Potions on the other 3. The Aerodactyl is so snoozy that it didn't really damage us. We got to Dragonite. So, I was trying to put it to sleep, but I didn't really get the luck that I needed, and he decides to go with Blizzard. We were on green health, and now we're very close to the end, but thankfully, we're not frozen yet. I'm trying to bank on sleep again, and it works! Great. The question is, how long it's gonna be asleep. I decided to pray for some crits for the RNG gods. Come on, I need those crits. We're hitting it with 1 Karate Chop, 2 Karate Chop, 3 Karate Chop, 4 Karate Chop, and a lot more. And he reminds himself to wake up. Only 1 hit left. And finally, Dragonite is out. Wow. Lance this time was really showing me that he was a Dragon Master and not a Bird Keeper. That's for sure. Now, there's only 1 trainer left, and it's a champion. I have no rare candies, but I have hope. Sand Slash is first, and we try to put it to sleep, but it doesn't really work. Okay. What's the worst that can happen? It's not that he's gonna use Slash and gets a massive crit, and then we're at less than half of our HP. Nothing too bad. It's not like he's gonna miss again and again. And then he attacks us with Poison Sting, but we're not poisoned. That's something. We finally managed to put it to sleep and get it out of the way. I get to learn Sketch again. I thought it is gonna be very useful, so I try to get rid of one of my moves. Maybe I'm gonna sketch something from the champions team. Well, I doubt it, but that's how I thought about it back in the day. And Alakazam is first, and we're gonna try to put it to sleep because every single one of his moves can ruin our chances to win. It's finally asleep on the first turn, and Karate Chop is all that we're gonna need in order to take this thing out. Executor is up next. He decides to go with Leech Seed. Sketching Leech Seed sounded good on paper, but only on paper, because I needed a specific luck in order for this to work. I need a champion to use Leech Seed, I'll need to avoid the attack, sketch it, and hope that I won't be attacked, in which Executor won't put me to sleep. I was trying to grind this luck as much as I could, up until I realized it doesn't work. Eventually, I got to the Magneton, and this time, I managed to put it to sleep on the first turn. I went with Confusion, and I even got the Confusion on my first attack. Then, it wakes up, I put it to sleep again, the rival decided to shatter my dreams and cheat with a full restore. So I just attacked it with Confusion. That didn't really work. And that's where I had the final Eureka moment. No sketch for me, no thank you. I'm gonna do it with my remaining moves, as it is. With Sand Slash, if we're gonna put it to sleep, then things are getting very easy. Even though he wakes up immediately, when we're gonna put it to sleep again, we're gonna attack. As long as it doesn't do that massive damage with Slash, everything should be just fine. He decides to go with Poison Sting, I'm not poisoned, we can put it to sleep again, and get rid of it later. Then I send no to Sketch, I get rid of the Alakazam with 2 crits like I usually do, and then, afterwards, the Executor. Finally we put it to sleep, and it snoozes forever, so no Leech Seed for today, and we're proceeding to Ninetales. Ninetales could be very annoying, so we're gonna put it to sleep because it's very dangerous, but he wakes up immediately. I decided to go with Lick in order to preserve my PP on Karate Chop because I do need my Karate Chops for other opponents like Magneton and, in particular, the Vaporeon. Well, I got it paralyzed. It can miss some attacks, or not attack at all, but it decides to give me an additional Magic Boost with Tail Whip after, I guess, forever to knock this thing out, but I guess the Lick was coming in handy. And then, with our remaining Badge Boost, we get Magneton. Well, Magneton can be tricky for another different reason. It can status us, and it has special attacks. If we're gonna get status, that's gonna be very problematic because our speed is gonna be cut in half. But luckily, it didn't happen today. Magneton decides not to sleep for very long. I decided to go with Confusion and pray for some luck. I didn't really plan for this kind of luck, like Gen 1 Miss, but he didn't attack us, and he's going down. Finally, we get to the Vaporeon. He decides to attack first with Quick Attack, but it doesn't really help him because we're gonna put it to sleep. I get Karate Chop, and I'm very prepared for this one. And with a bunch of crits, the champion is down. Even though I didn't really get my sub 3 hours time, which sounds very silly, but we managed to finish this silly challenge at level 72 with 82 resets and with a real time of 3 hours, 8 minutes, and 5 seconds. And a game time of 8 hours and 26 minutes. Well, that took a while, but Smeargle is a very interesting Pokemon. It's very flexible, and you can basically take it in any direction that you'd like. The only thing that you need to know is when to sketch moves, and which moves do you like to sketch. But once I've finished the run and looked at the game hook, when it comes to my DVs. I thought that it was a 7 DVs Smeargle that I was using. Well, the game really tricked me and it was a max DVs one, so I guess that I'm gonna do a part 2 to this run. Maybe someday, once I'll know how to use the disassembly code and create my own ROM. Maybe a 7 DVs Smeargle with strong moves is gonna be faster than this max DVs Smeargle. Maybe I'm gonna change the rival's Pokémon and I'm gonna make this challenge even more difficult for my mediocre Smeargle and maybe change the rival's Pokémon into something like Snorlax because of its great HP and great defenses, or something like Machamp to make sure that I'm gonna weep every time I'm gonna get hit by a fighting move. And yeah, Bruno is gonna enjoy that one. So, what do you think? The rival's ace is gonna be Snorlax or Machamp? Who of these two is gonna drive me insane throughout the whole run? And I'd like to see if DVs do matter. And, by the way, we got some new party members that has joined the squad. Like Online Bully, Exceptional, James Caldwell, Bodie Beats, Heir to Waltamart. Thank you guys so much for joining our party. And if you'd like to be announced in the next video, go ahead and join the squad by subscribing to the channel and announce yourself in the comments down below. Thanks to Scott's Thoughts for making this race a reality. I really like this challenge. And thanks to Gummetal for the awesome music, and to Firesama as usual for the awesome art. And above all, thank you for sticking around up until the end. Well, I better work on the next video, and I hope that it won't be that long. Until then, I'll see you all there, once it's gonna be out. And don't forget to take care.